From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, real therapists. If you have a question you'd like to ask or advice you'd like to give, come on over to podtherapy.net and join the conversation. It's Therapy Thursday, and today on the episode, we talk about us.
Yes!
So, if you're like my sister and you love the podcast, but you don't really care for Nick or Jim, this is not the episode for you. And now, broadcasting from Level 9 Studios, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some pod therapy.
Yeah, I would say my least favorite thing about our podcast is us. I would say, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I love that podcast.
I would agree with you. Yeah. If we could find somebody else to do this, this
guys,
would be a
listen,
really good podcast.
We don't want to do this, okay? We have to do this. If one of you would just step up, we wouldn't have to step in here and do this every week. You brought this upon yourselves.
Right. Today is going to be, our episode's going to be a little bit different than
Yes. It's exciting.
Usual.
This is going to be fun.
It is.
Fun. We got a lot of things we're going to do today that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got some news.
Yes.
An announcement.
Yeah, we got some housekeeping, some important information to share. Can I tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So great news. Pod Therapy is now even bigger than it used to be. We are continuing to grow. We got picked up by the second most popular audio app and platform in the world, iHeartRadio. And so we got picked up by them. They actually got us and said, you know what, we're going to add this to our podcast catalog. And that's a huge honor. We love you, iHeartRadio. Thank you so much. And if you're out there and you use that app, you can now find us on there. So super exciting.
Very exciting.
We're on our way, Nick.
Yeah.
Howard Stern, watch out.
Yeah, totally.
He's our competition.
Yeah.
I feel like it's Stern.
This is your warning.
This is your warning shot. Dr. Drew is out there shaking in his boots like, I don't know who these pod therapy guys are, but they're up and comers.
You're unnoticed, Drew.
You're unnoticed, Drew. I'm coming for you. Phil don't care. Yeah. Phil's got TV. We're not there.
So this is, this is obviously says something about our podcast, or it says something about iHeartRadio, that they just let anybody with a podcast on there.
Yes, that's what it is. It's not that today's announcement is not that we're doing really well. It's, wow, what's happening to standards? Jeez, man.
The bar has been lowered.
Hey, congratulations, you've lowered the bar. You're welcome, America. That's what we've come to do with pod therapy.
That's all right. Okay. So if you've been a regular listener, you know that Jim's got a new ringtone.
Yeah. I have actually deleted it. Today was my day, okay? I did my 7-day spell. It's off now. I'm back to my normal ringtone, but it has not been fun. Which
was Rick Astley's I'm Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah.
Which was such a joy all week to hear your phone ring.
Yeah.
In the other office. And it put me in such a great mood.
It was frustrating because both I hate that song and you tolerate or like that song.
I'll be honest, I like it.
Everything was wrong with
I really liked it.
Everything was wrong. Like, it's one thing if you're enjoying my pain. It's another thing if you're enjoying my pain and you're like bobbing your head. Like, you're like jamming to it. And then your phone continues to ring, and it continues to be Prince. And it just makes me more and more mad, because I really, really want that thing to change now.
Which is great, because when I get a call, then you get a call, then I get a call. It's like the best concert ever.
It's absolutely... Prince is good. But so if you're a new listener, Nick and I have an ongoing rivalry where weeks ago I was unable to identify his ringtone of Prince, and I was absolutely shamed and treated very, very badly by all of the internet and Nick and all of our listeners. And so we started a new regular theme where we do Ringtone Revenge. And last week we played a psychology trivia game to see who would be punished with a new ringtone. And the ringtone submitted was Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, and submitted by our fan club president, Dawn, who we love. And unfortunately, I was the bearer of that ringtone all week long. Right.
So now, Ringtone Revenge,
That's
you have a chance to redeem yourself.
Oh, God. I need this. I need this bad.
So, part of our job is to do, be able to do a diagnosis.
Yes.
Which is something that we take very seriously, and it's something that's very important, and it helps us identify what the person that we're working with, what they're dealing with, and also helps us formulate our treatment plan, how we're going to treat this individual.
Right.
And it's making a diagnosis can be a little bit of an art form. It can be very complicated.
Yes.
Which Jim,
It's like a riddle. You're going to solve a riddle.
It is, yeah, in a way. And Jim has an exorbitant amount of confidence when it comes to this.
Yes.
So I'm going to call him out on it.
Unbeaten. That's what I am. Unbeaten. So as therapists, one of the ways that we train, and one of the ways that Nick and I train, is with other therapists, and we constantly do these things called role plays where one of us pretends to have an illness and we give clues about what that illness is. And this is very common in all forms of medicine, not just psychology. But then the other clinician has to use those clues to figure it out and get to an actual answer. We do this all the time in training. And as Nick said, I'm really, really good at it. And so Nick decided to give me a chance to best him in this week's Ringtone Revenge by trying to stump the chump and see if he can get me to if I'm going to see if I can guess the diagnosis that he has in mind, and he's going to try to stump me. But he has to give me true clues, Nick. No throwing me off. You have to tell me as it is.
Right.
Yes. So you're going to become. You have to be the diagnosis, okay? You don't have to act it out. Like, you have to tell me the real thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's fair. So the rules, you have 20 questions.
Okay.
Yes or no.
Okay, so I'll ask 20 questions. I have up to 20.
You have up to 20 questions.
If I make a guess, that counts as a question.
That counts as a question.
And generally, my questions have to be yes or no, but you'll fill in as you feel it's fair to fill in.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And to somewhat keep it easy, or not easy, but fair,
okay.
I'm not allowed to come up with like an NOS diagnosis or not otherwise specified.
Thank you, because that would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'd have never gotten those. There's so many of those. All right, so the rules are it has to be in the DSM-5, which is the Psychology Bible, and I can verify Nick is holding one in front of him right now. He's got a big old book. Thump it on the table, Nick. Let him hear it. Thing is huge. Thing is absolutely huge. So it is the Psychology Bible. He has opened up to a page. He has his diagnosis, and I cannot see it.
What are we playing for today, Jim?
We are playing for a ringtone selected by, and this is a lot of fun, Professor Roberta Miranda at Nevada State College. She is a listener of the show, and later on in the podcast, we're going to hear from her students. They have submitted us a bunch of questions, and we're really excited about it. In fact, a lot of the show is going to be dedicated to them. And in honor of Professor Miranda and the wonderful psychology students at Nevada State College, she has selected this week's Ringtone Revenge, which, if I can win this game, Nick will be putting on his phone. And of course, if I get stumped, then I have to have it again. And this week's song is... Is it weird that I'm dancing?
No.
Look me in the eyes. Yes. All right. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party.
All right. Well, thank you.
For you.
Thank you, Roberta, for that.
Yes. But I dedicate this victory to the students and staff of Nevada State College.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm planning on changing my ringtone to Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On."
Yeah,
so
that was already on the agenda,
right?
Yeah.
So if I get stuck with that, I'm a hard person to.
It's hard to disappoint you with these
ringtones. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna try, Nick, because you're getting it this week, and I dedicate my victory to Nevada. I'm gonna vanquish you. This is it. I have lost too many times. This is my victory dance. Here we go.
Okay. Well,
20 questions. All right. So you have your diagnosis. You're ready to go.
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to be truthful to me. No lying.
No, no intentional lying. Keep in mind I'm a terrible therapist, so...
You know what? That would be a great way to beat me in this game, is to pick pathological lying. And then everything is wrong. And I'm like, wait, what? None of this makes any sense. Like, the only way to catch you is ask you, like, what color is the sky? And you're like,
I
orange.
really wish I'd have thought of that.
That would have been so good. All right.
All right, 20 questions.
20 questions. Game starts now. Okay, first question, number 1. Is this something that affects your physical health?
Ooh, good question. No.
Okay, so it doesn't outwardly affect your physical health. Are you able to...
19, sorry.
So now I'm at 19. Number 19. Are you able to discern reality? Do you see things that aren't there?
No.
Do you hear things that aren't there?
No, I'll help you out with this one a little bit.
Okay, okay.
No, I would say I'm in touch with reality.
Okay.
There's probably some distortion, but I'm in
Got it.
touch with reality.
Very
So,
fair. All right,
18.
so 18. So I've gotten hallucinations off the board. I've gotten audio hallucinations off the board. Okay, so I know you're not having any psychosis. I've taken away some health stuff, so I know that you're probably not like losing weight or abusing your health with substances. So that kind of takes away that fear. So I've got away from addictions, probably at least chemical addictions. I've gotten away from psychosis. All right, let me see if I can drill in a little bit further. Is this something that prevents you from going to work?
No.
Okay, all right, so that doesn't help me a ton. Because like that was not a great question. Like it would have helped if it was a yes. But
Well,
no,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but it's
no
a no.
leaves me a lot. Okay,
17.
Is this something that affects your family life?
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's pretty general.
16.
Like even depression and anxiety would. I'm at 16. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of these fast. Is this something that has gotten you in legal trouble?
No.
Okay,
15.
So that takes away like sex disorders, likely. It takes away stealing. Okay, let's see. They have things like anger, PTSD. Is this something that? Okay, let's see. Is this something that affects your sleep habits?
No.
Okay.
15.
That takes away PTSD. Now I don't have to worry about nightmares or flashbacks. Anxiety and depression might not. Gosh, I don't want to get stuck into those because it might be too. I don't think you would be so obvious. I don't think you would pick the big ones like anxiety and depression, unless you're really trying to throw me off. Wait a minute. Earlier you said, oh, I'm starting to get you now. Earlier you said no hallucinations, but you kind of have distorted thinking. Okay. Do you have swings in your mood?
No.
Okay, not big ones.
14.
Okay, now we're at 14. Okay, so that takes away bipolar disorder. Let's see. You have distorted thinking. I wonder if you're delusional. Do others believe that you misinterpret reality?
I'm gonna say yes and no. I can't really answer that without really giving it away.
Yes, that means I'm getting close.
Okay.
What am I at? 13?
Yeah.
Okay,
13.
so now, see, this is it. I'm starting to get you.
Is it 13 or 14?
I'm going to say 13. Yeah,
Okay.
so okay, I'm at 13. I have 13 questions left, and now I'm starting to get really close. So I think that you're in some kind of delusions. So there's like delusions of grandeur, and there's erotomania, and there's, okay, so I think you're somewhere in there. Wait a minute. Are we playing that you can pick personality disorders, or do you have to stay to mental health disorders as the whole DSM?
Whole DSM.
Okay, all right. No legal trouble, no health trouble. You kind of have distorted thinking. Is it erotomania?
No.
Okay, I see. Now I'm at
12.
12. Is it narcissism? Narcissistic personality disorder?
No. 11.
Oh, no! That was where I was thinking you were going. Okay, so I don't have... Okay, so you're having delusions, but you didn't say that. Are you having delusions?
No.
Oh, no!
10.
I've been going down the wrong trail. Oh, no! Okay, you said you have distorted thinking? Distorted thinking? You're not having delusions. There goes paranoia.
I would get off the distorted thinking part because...
Dude, you really threw me off with that!
Yeah, well...
Because I spent hallucinations, you're like, I have distorted thinking. Okay, does this affect your ability to I can't ask that. I've already asked about work, I've already asked about legal stuff, I've already asked about family stuff, I've already asked about health stuff. Does this cause you to feel... I asked you about mood stuff, and you were like, not really, I don't have mood fluctuations. And you said it doesn't cause you to break the law, it doesn't affect your health, so it's not substances. Can this be treated with psychiatric medication?
No.
Oh my gosh, it cannot be treated with psychiatric medication. Nick, you are really getting me on this. I am starting to get scared. I only have like 11 questions left. Oh no. Okay, I think I have 12. Do I have 12 questions left?
No. I believe it's 11.
Okay, oh my gosh, this doesn't affect your health. I can't control it with psychiatric medication. Is therapy effective to treat this?
Somewhat.
Oh my gosh.
10.
Are you born with this?
Ooh. I'm gonna say unknown.
Okay, so that's not really inconclusive. All right, that's fair because psychology is still an emerging discipline. So I'm down to 10. Okay.
I think you're down to 9 now.
Oh gosh. All right, so I'm down to 9. So that takes. Okay, so if it's unknown, that means we're losing things like intellectual disorder. I don't for that anymore. Is it autism?
No.
Okay, because that would have been
8.
Yeah, I think you would have given me yes. It was born with. Okay, so jeez, I'm running out of things. Is it conduct disorder?
No. 7.
Oh my gosh. Is it intermittent explosive disorder?
No. 6.
Oh my gosh.
You were really close on one that you guessed earlier.
In the last 13 guesses?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a personality disorder, but there's so many, and it's going to be tough. I already asked erotomania.
What are you on, 6 questions left?
No, dude, stop taking them away. I have like 9. I have like 9 questions, and I'm pretty sure you robbed me of 11.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure. I think I have like 9.
We'll go halfway, and I'll give you 7, but I'm pretty sure I just said 6.
You know what? I'm going to listen to this and be like, he robbed me. He robbed me of several questions. All right, I have 7 left. I'm keeping my fingers up now.
Okay, good.
Okay, I think it's a personality disorder. Come on, Jim, think about it. Personality disorders. What do you got? You don't have rapid mood cycling. Okay. Do you struggle with establishing interpersonal boundaries?
Yes.
I've got you now. I have got you now. Now we're down to like several.
Which ones are you thinking?
Okay, so I'm thinking histrionic personality disorder when you're like all about you and you got problems. I'm thinking about antisocial personality disorder when you have no empathy and you're kind of like violent and very cynical and very masochistic. I'm thinking about borderline personality disorder where you have really strong relationships and it's like it fluxes between love and hate and very poor personal boundaries. All of those would be okay. So now I've got enough guesses that if I use those, I'd probably be okay. All right, let's start with the one I'm thinking first. Histrionic personality disorder.
Yes.
Yes! Ah, sweet victory! Yes! I am a Barbie girl! Oh, yes, it is fantastic! Oh, sweet justice. Sweet justice. Ah. Nick, enjoy your new ringtone, courtesy of Professor Roberta Miranda at Nevada State College. And I just made you my Barbie girl.
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
Do you know which one that I was kind of the...
That distorted thinking. Now I get it. Because you're like, well, yeah, you do have distorted thinking.
I think it was, criteria 8 or 9, which is like that they believe relationships to be more intimate than they really are. And that was the only one. Otherwise, I was kind of like,
when you said distorted thinking, and then I started ruling out psychosis things, and you were still tracking with reality, and there wasn't health consequences, and it couldn't be tracked or couldn't be treated with therapy or psychiatric meds, I was starting to think erotomania for sure. And I thought it was going to... So for the listener, erotomania is whenever you have a false view of other people loving you. So this is the kind of person that might be watching Oprah or watch, President Trump talk on TV and then believe with all their heart that President Trump actually is in a relationship with them and that they have something secret going on or whatever. Like it's a false understanding of how other people view you. But it's delusional, like you're outside of reality. So histrionic personality disorder is... a little bit different than that. I mean, it's more like this obsessive selfness, right? Where it's like, I'm very big personality. I absorb the room. I kind of bump into everybody else. So, man, that was a good one, man.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one. And way to go with personality disorder, too. Because, man, that took me a long time. That was very subtle.
That was about 10 guesses just to get to that.
Just to even get close. And luckily, I had enough guesses that if it wasn't histrionic, I was just going to start burning through every personality disorder and just see if I could get there. Sweet victory. Sweet victory. Thank you, Professor Miranda, for that marvelous ringtone suggestion. We are so excited to be listening to that all week as Nick changes his ringtone.
Well, now I'm really nervous because you know my gym schedule.
Yeah.
And so now you can call me when I'm at the gym.
That is a great idea.
And if I forget to put my phone on silent.
Yes. I hope this happens. I hope it happens right when you're maxing out. And I hope the guy's standing there spotting you is like, what? It's like, hey, man, I got to go. No, hold on. No, I got to go. You're on your own, bud. So thank you again, Professor Miranda. And congratulations on your new ringtone, Nick. Excited to have it.
Yes, congratulations on finally winning.
Thank you. Yes. I think the sweet victory. Yes, it tastes great.
All right. And so today's show is a little bit different. We actually have a lot of questions coming in to us from Nevada State College.
That's right. So Professor Roberta Miranda is one of the great, important people of Nevada, and she contributes so much. Nick and I have known her for years as a therapist in our community, as a clinician in our community, and now she is the professor at Nevada State College, and she has so many different courses that she teaches. But one of the things she teaches is addiction science, and she actually has students in that class, and she had them write up questions, and so they've actually sent us a whole list of questions. And it has to do with us. It has to do with what is it like to be a therapist in the profession. Their questions are about addiction. But they sent in a whole bunch. And so today we're actually going to take their questions that they sent in to us, and we're going to dedicate the second piece of the show to their class and to anybody who's interested in psychology generally and likes the wonkiness of it. And if you stay tuned, psychology students, there will actually be an extra credit question at the end of this that we are going to ask you. And if you get it right, you will get a perfect score on your next final exam.
And you have approved none of this with Roberta, correct?
Not a word of it. No.
Okay, good.
She is under no compulsion to back anything up that I'm saying.
That's right.
But I feel like I could talk her into it.
That's how we do things on the pod.
That's right. I make promises I can't keep. Those are exclusively the only promises I make. So, Nick, I'll take the first question and I'll ask it of you. So this is a good one. So what are your strengths as a therapist?
Well, some would say none.
Yeah.
But if I were to answer this myself, honestly, I think the thing that I rely on most, which is probably it has helped me out in really working with my clients, is the use of metaphor and storytelling.
Yeah.
That's something that...
Yes. It's funny because as he says that, I'm thinking of all of the ones he has in his bag. Nick, tell the audience your Shawshank Redemption story, the metaphor from the movie Shawshank Redemption that you use all the time with our patients.
Yeah, successfully, I may
Successfully,
add.
Yeah. It's a very powerful little metaphor.
So, the Shawshank Redemption, great movie.
Yeah.
At the
Tim Robbins.
Yeah, Tim Robbins and
Morgan Freeman.
Yep. So at the end of the movie, Tim Robbins escapes from prison.
Spoiler alert.
Dang it. Yeah, sorry. Jeez, sorry. So yeah, he escapes from prison, and how he does it, he chips away at the wall for years.
Yep.
He finally gets out. He breaks into a sewer pipe, and he crawls through the sewer pipe for literally, I want to say it was like 500 yards or something like that before he finally is able to get out.
Through the raw sewage.
Through the sewage. And then at the end of the movie, you see him on the beach,
Free.
Sunny day.
Broke
He's
out of prison.
working on his sailboat, out
Living
by
his
the
life.
ocean. Yeah, it's the essential view of paradise.
Right.
But to get to that point, what did he have to do?
Right.
He was stuck in a cell. There was no getting out. He was serving a life sentence. There's no getting out of that cell. He had to break out. And in order to do that, he had to literally crawl through shit.
Right. That's the classic Nick story.
Yes. And I use this example for a lot of our folks coming into treatment.
Right.
Because when they're coming in, it's miserable. They are going through withdrawal. They horrible detox, and they feel absolutely terrible.
Right.
And when you get into that situation, the first thing you want to do is find any way of getting out of it. Right. It is very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And very dangerous a lot of times.
They want to give up.
Absolutely.
A lot of times they want to give up on getting help and just go back to their addiction.
And this is where I will, tell kind of this story and say, this is a perfect metaphor for where you're at. You want to leave here. Well, if you leave here, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go get high. I'm going to take away the pain.
Right.
And essentially that is crawling back into the cell.
Yeah, the prison.
There's no way out.
Right.
You're not going to get out that way. The only way out is through. You're already dirty.
Yeah.
You're already here.
Yep.
Crawl through it.
Push through.
And let's get to a point where you can get to your paradise.
You're already miserable. Finish this. Because if you go back, you're going back to the prison cell. Nick has a whole bunch of stories like that, but that is his classic one.
It's my go-to.
Nick, I will say that is a strength of yours as a therapist. I will also say that you keep your head. I think that you stay calm. in the midst of crisis. I think that you're the last one to panic. And I'm good at faking not panicking, and then I do panic. But at least, Nick, I panic only with you. I close the door first, and then I look at you, and you're like, "Dude, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No."
Exactly.
But I keep my cool in front of others.
Right.
So.
And as a therapist, you're kind of the pilot of the plane.
Right.
Yeah. You need to look calm for the passengers.
At all times. Yeah.
When that cockpit door closes, you can panic all you want.
Right. That's when you can freak out.
Yep. All right, Jim. Next question. Do you ever get frustrated with patients, and how do you handle that?
Oh, my gosh. It's funny, Nick, because when I hear that question, I think of some of the patients you and I have had. Do you remember when we had that epidemic in one of our programs where people kept they were drinking bleach? By mistake. Yeah. People kept drinking bleach, and we would see them and they'd be completely sick, and we're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because somebody in this program had poured bleach in a vodka bottle or something and just kept it in the laundry room to use for laundry. But these are alcoholics, and so one of them saw it and thought, "Oh, vodka." And so he drank it, and then he puts it down, and he goes throwing up, and another person walks over and goes, "Ooh, vodka," and drinks it. And before Nick and I deal with the problem, there's 3 people that are in the street throwing up and sick, and we're calling poison control. So, That
was a rough day.
That was a rough day. Yes, sometimes I do get frustrated with our patients. I think having a sense of humor really helps, being able to normalize it and understand it. I think that's how we handle it. The folks that we're working with are very incomplete, and they're working on a lot of hard things in their life, and they're not sure who they are. So I guess that can be frustrating, but it's also very normal for us to deal with that. And so I do get frustrated. The way I deal with it, I lean in. I try never to lean away from my patients. I try to metaphorically lean in with them, get deeper into their story. And I think the more you get to know somebody, the more you join with them, the less frustrating they are in a sense, because you kind of get it. You know how they tick. You know how they're thinking. And even if they're making huge errors like drinking bleach, you're able to see it from their perspective and see it more as a person who needs help than a person who's annoying.
Yeah, and you get to see how they got to that point.
Right.
Yeah,
and then you get it.
Yeah, they're not acting this way just to piss Jim off.
Right.
There's a lot more to it.
Another thing I think that helps us is whenever somebody's being silly or being frustrating, if we have a good relationship with them, we can tell them. And so that's very powerful as a therapeutic tool to be able to pull them aside and go, "Hey, let me tell you what you just did. You craved alcohol so bad that without thinking about it, you grabbed a bottle that you had no idea what was in there, and you gulped. You didn't even taste. You gulped.
Or smell first.
Yeah, or smell it first. Do you think that maybe you have a problem?" And if you can get them to laugh at themselves and see it, then a lot of times they're able to identify the problem. So yes, they can be frustrating, and I guess we just lean in on that and try to help as much as we can. All right, Nick, next question. What are some challenges that you have overcome while working in the field, and how did you do that?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome, especially early on in my career, is kind of what we'd call the imposter syndrome.
Oh.
Of you kind of get into this spot where you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you remember?
And at some point, somebody's going to realize that.
Do you remember your first patient? Do you remember your very first session?
I don't. I don't remember my first session, but I remember my first year as a counselor.
And feeling like I don't belong. Everybody's going to figure this out, that I'm a fake. Yep. I remember that feeling.
Especially in groups. Individual sessions, I always kind of felt like I had a good handle on.
Right.
But yeah, groups, sometimes it can be very scary. It's kind of like herding cats.
Yes.
Everybody goes whichever direction they want to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was something I had to get over.
How did you do that?
Well, I really kind of got over it by just coming up with the philosophy. And I heard someone else say this once, where a worst case scenario, you can always resort back to being a cheerleader.
Okay.
Where, if you feel like you're kind of getting lost in this session, you're not really sure where to go, your fallback position is always be supportive, be encouraging, and be empowering.
You know what helped me become a great group leader? Being a high school teacher. Because those people hate you.
Yeah.
They do not want to listen to anything you say. They did not sign up for this. They have to be there. And you have to keep them entertained because they are teenagers. And so that's why my group dynamic is usually like, look at me, like, it's the gym show. And that's because that's how I was as a teacher. That was the only way I could keep my kids interested for, 60 minutes and then do their homework or take the exam and not fail and get the information to them. So, but I know exactly what you're talking about, that imposter feel. Like, I remember my very first client just sitting there thinking, please don't realize that I don't know what I'm doing. Like, just terrified that they could see right through me, that they were looking at me like, you're an idiot. Like, you have no idea. You're not going to help me. And also having no clue how to help. Like, the very first time they tell you, here's what I'm going through. And you're just like, I have nothing to offer you. And thinking that you're supposed to just zoom in and fix their problem. Like, that's an often rookie mistake, too.
Absolutely.
I feel that pain, Nick. I relate.
So, Jim, next question. Have you ever encountered dangerous clients, and how did you handle it?
It's rare. I mean, it's very rare. There's a huge misconception out there that mental health people are dangerous, and we get that from, like, Batman, right? Because all the criminals in Batman go to Arkham Asylum, and they're all in the loony bin, and they're all secretly really dangerous, and that's good television, but not real. So we call that a stigma, which is a hurtful stereotype. Having said that, yes, in healthcare, at all levels of healthcare, it's possible that you're going to meet somebody on their worst day, and they're going to be, rough and unruly and stressed, and they might even present a danger to themselves or others. Yes, that's happened to me. I can think of one example of somebody that was definitely dangerous. I once had a teenager who was going to be the next school shooter, and came to me because his parents discovered that he was making a plan to do that. And he had a whole plan, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but he had a whole plan, and he confessed it, and we worked on it. And it was very clear to me that if we didn't do something immediate and quickly, this was a real risk, and he could really be the next person on the news, and had a whole plan to do it. So in that situation, how did we deal with it? You trust your training, you consult with your colleagues, and together, we ultimately got him the care that he needed, that was appropriate for him, got him the right medicines that were addressing some of the challenges he was having, a lot of hallucinations and things like that, and ultimately became one of my most successful clients. And, to this day, fantastic. He's a grown man now. He's been, healthy for years and years. He's doing very, very well. But that was a dangerous situation, and I think the trick is you don't overreact. Don't make it worse, by panicking or thinking, the worst case scenarios and catastrophizing, but just love the person, and be close to the person, care about them first. And if that's sincere and that's genuine, they'll see that you do not represent a threat to them and that you want to see them succeed. And ultimately, they'll be responsible for their own care and their own help, which he was able to do.
Right. And we've both been in situations, and I would agree with you. It's very rare.
Very rare.
That that somebody becomes violent.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that too is I work very hard in my sessions to not be the guy that people want to hurt.
Right.
Right. Rapport is everything. So if you establish good rapport, you don't come off as a target.
Right.
It's not like, me hurting Nick isn't going to gain anything from me.
And it's super rare. And the problem with mental health is the only time the public ever talks about it is whenever somebody has become violent.
Right.
There's a shooting and now they're like, let's talk about mental health, but otherwise they don't talk about it when somebody's just depressed and can't go to work.
Right.
Then we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it when this guy has a bar tab of $200 on a Wednesday night, but that's mental health too. So, it's something that I think a lot of people misunderstand. Still, it's a good question, and still it's something that we encounter and we're trained to deal with. And Nick and I have both had scenarios where somebody was really escalated, very stressed, and could have become physically violent, and we're trained very carefully to read that person, to see those warning signs, and usually we'll say, hey, let's step outside, let's get out of the office, let's have you take a walk around the building, let's talk this through, and if we need to end the session, we will, and if we need to call for help, we will. And we've both done that, Nick. We've had situations in some of our programs where we've called 911.
Yeah. And there's, some situations in which the therapeutic relationship just has to end.
Yes.
You cannot continue it any longer.
Yeah.
I've had a death threat made against me. I've had a a hit put out on me by a drug dealer.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know?
I was more scared than you were. I was like,
yeah,
is everything
I
going to
think
be
you
okay?
were.
And you were like, I'm pretty sure this guy's not competent enough
Right.
to pull off the hit.
I wasn't, yeah, we weren't really dealing with Pablo Escobar in that
No,
situation.
it wasn't quite, yeah. It
So-
wasn't quite a crime syndicate.
Right.
But I was pretty scared that day. That was a long time ago. All right, Nick, the next question is, and this is our last one, what are the most rewarding parts of your job? And what are the most difficult?
Well, for me, I think the most rewarding part of the job is seeing change.
Yeah.
So when, this has happened, this is why I don't take bets on someone's success when they first come into the program, because I am wrong almost always.
Get it wrong.
I am consistently wrong.
Yeah.
There has been countless examples I can think of when somebody comes into the program and they are belligerent and they are just awful and they're rude and condescending and just causing so many problems. And, I will be saying to myself,
there's no way.
this person's not going to make it.
Right.
We're wasting our time.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. But I always kind of check myself like, all right, no, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're going to work with them. And those are the ones that always surprise me.
Right.
They're the ones that something clicks and they get it. And then you see them several weeks later and they are a leader and they're helping out some of the newer folks.
Yep.
And it's
Night
just,
and day.
yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that-
There's been lots of those where we're like, this one's not going to make it. And later on, we're like, wow, can you believe how good they're doing? And we're both shocked.
Yeah.
That is really rewarding.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself every time we've got a client that comes in like that.
Yes.
Just how wrong I am most of the time.
So what's the most challenging?
Well, the most challenging part of my job right now, now, honestly.
Working with Jim.
I wasn't going to say that, but my job now is administrative for the most part. Working with the clients, I don't have a whole lot of issues. I've been doing this long enough. There's always going to be resistance. There's always going to be some challenge, which, resistance is essentially them just giving you feedback.
Right.
And saying, like, what you're doing is not working for me.
Right.
Change your approach.
Yes.
So, yeah, most of my challenges now, if I'm not taking good care of myself, good self-care, you can get burnt out in this industry very quickly.
Yeah.
And there are days where I sit in my office and I'm just thinking, like, I just want to be in a cubicle and I just want to work with Excel spreadsheets and deal with numbers. I don't want to talk to people.
Finance major Nick
Yeah,
who comes
I
back
just-
out to play and he's like, dude, we could just be crunching numbers right now. Headphones on, never talk to another human being. Yeah. I get that. I think I echo everything you just said. The most rewarding part for me is, I think it's the obvious thing. It's the fame and fortune. Gosh, it's just ridiculous.
For all the people going into therapy, one of the things that's going to be very important is money management skills, because money is just going to be falling from the sky and you have to learn how to manage
It's
it.
an embarrassment of riches. It's just so sad. And, I think that there's that, and then, just the fame. I think for me, to be serious, the biggest reward right now, I love that our industry is so relevant in the national conscience and in our state. And I love being able to be a part of projects and work on big picture stuff and help reform things and teach people. It's very fulfilling. So I love that people want to know about this and that we happen to know about it and we can share about mental health. It's just, that's something I'm really passionate about. Biggest challenge is the anxiety, man. You and I work in a unique part of mental health in a rehab. And in a rehab, any day somebody can have a personal crisis and it's not that big of a deal. But to them, it really is.
Yeah.
And they're going to get self-destructive and put themselves back out in harm's way and go back to drugs. And you and I get called in to sit down and de-escalate them and try to get them back to zero. And if we fail, it's scary because they may end their life out there, on the streets or back in the drug game. And that's a lot of anxiety for me.
Yeah, that is difficult. That's a very difficult part of our job when you see somebody making a choice that
you can't stop them.
You can't stop them, and there's no way that this is going to end well.
Yeah, that's hard to watch, but still very rewarding because at the end of the day, the fame and fortune, that comforts me.
Yeah.
So I want to thank all of the Nevada State College students and Professor Roberta Miranda's class. We love you guys. And to show my affection for you, I am going to give you an extra credit challenge. So
Which means nothing.
Which means
because
everything.
we haven't approved it with
It's
Roberta,
approved.
but
I'm
okay.
approving it. Okay, so this comes directly from on high. Roberta Miranda, you better give them extra credit. She's going to be like, you get 1/2 of 1 point. Yeah. That's all you're getting. So here's the deal. Earlier in today's show, you heard us play the diagnosis game, and you got to see how ridiculously gifted I am, and I want to see how ridiculously gifted you are. So I have a little vignette here, Nick, that is a question that we can ask them. It's a little paragraph, and I want to know, can a student listening to this identify and diagnose the patient described? And if you can get the diagnosis correct, I'm going to tell Professor Miranda the diagnosis. I'm going to email it to her, and if you come to her and you correctly identify it, she's going to give you 1,000,000% extra credit. In fact, she's going to hand you your degree. She's going to say, congratulations, you've defeated college. Here you go.
You have the pod therapy guarantee.
The pod therapy guarantee. I put the entire credibility of the Pod Therapy podcast into this promise. All right. So to all of my college student listeners, and for all those playing the home game who would also like extra credit in Professor Roberta Miranda's class, even if you are already a therapist, here is today's vignette. Gary is a 27-year-old married electrician. For the past year, he has been complaining of dizziness, sweaty palms, heart palpitations, and ringing in his ears. He has also experienced dry throat and a constant edgy and watchful feeling that often interfered with his ability to concentrate. Because of these symptoms, he has seen a neurologist, neurosurgeon, chiropractor, and an ENT specialist. He was initially told that he might have an inner ear problem before being referred to a therapist. Upon meeting the therapist, Gary discusses his immense fear over pleasing his wife's family ever since their 3-month whirlwind courtship and marriage. All right, students, diagnose Gary. What is he facing? If you get it right, you get a free degree from Nevada State College. We'll throw in a doctorate from UNLV. Congratulations, and medical licenses, all for one question.
There you go.
That is how we do at Pod Therapy.
All right. Well, now that we've lost all of our regular listeners.
No, they're all with us now. They're excited.
So let's move on to our listener mail.
Yeah, I'll start it off. Our first one is actually from the website, where, again, you can go to podtherapy.net, and you can at any time submit any question, comment, and it's completely anonymous. And so this one is also anonymous, and it says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast since the beginning, and I love."
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks. Nice. I hope it is your mom.
My mom doesn't know what a podcast is.
She doesn't even know what a podcast is. "Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast since the beginning, and I love the enthusiasm you both have for normalizing mental health issues and helping regular people get a taste of what therapy is like. Thank you. I was wondering, though, when did you both know you wanted to be a therapist, and what brought you to this line of work?" That's a great question.
That is.
So, Nick, let's start with you. You are not a native Nevadan. You came here from some distant land, I'm told, is Iowa or something. I don't know how the natives speak.
The land of the ice and snow.
The land of corn.
Yes, I'm from Iowa.
Yeah. So, how did you decide to become a therapist?
I still haven't decided.
I'm still kicking around some options.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, this is my fallback. Right. Yeah, well, now we're going to be podcast celebrities now that we're on iHeartRadio.
Well,
so.
I moved to Vegas because I had dreams of being a Jay-Z impersonator on the Strip.
Right. That is what most people say when they
That
meet
has
you.
not taken off as I thought it would.
Yeah. The world's not ready. That's the problem.
True.
It's the ignorance of others.
Yeah.
Your impersonation is spot on.
Thank you.
Hova.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, funny story. I originally went to school for finance.
No, did you really?
Yeah, I was a finance major.
What?
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
My dream job was I wanted to work at the Chicago Board of Trade.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Because you are one of the rare therapists that's actually really good at Excel and knows how to do this.
Yeah.
And the rest of us have no clue what's going on. We're very much like PowerPoint kind of people. We do not use Excel. And Nick is religious about it. It's because you were a finance major. So are you good at math?
No, I'm terrible.
And that's why you're a therapist.
Turns out that's a bit of a hurdle to jump over.
It turns out that in finance there's some arithmetic.
So I actually, in my freshman year, I had a economics class, and I took it, and I was kind of struggling with it. And I also had Intro to Psych as an elective.
Okay.
And I just found that so fascinating.
Huh.
And it was the only class where I was reading ahead.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like I was
Yep.
just, this is interesting. Oh,
Yep.
I want to learn more. And it
Right.
that's kind of how that all started.
That's awesome.
So I ended up switching my major to psychology. Then afterwards, after my psychology degree, I wanted to get into mental health and doing therapy and, did all the research and found that the master's in social work is kind of the
gold standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, well, then I'll do that. So I went into my first year. There's two courses or two tracks that you can go on. There's like the micro, which is the therapeutic skills and learning all that. And then there's the social administration route. So the first year is the same for everybody. So my practicum, my first year was working at a youth home. So I was working with boys ages like 8 to 12 or something like that. And I did that for a year. And decided I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, God, that will rob your soul, man.
Because they just...
Working with teenage boys?
I was basically just thrown into it. I know nothing, so I had very little confidence in what I was doing.
That's hard for a veteran.
Yeah. So then my second year, when it comes time to choose which track you want to go on, I picked the social administrative track.
Right, because you're thinking, gosh, these guys were destroying me.
So
program.
My second year in the program... I was working for a substance abuse treatment center. I was working with the executive director.
Okay.
We did a lot of fundraising.
So that's how you discovered addiction science.
Right.
Was through the graduate program.
Right.
Oh.
So we were doing a lot of fundraising. We were going to the state capitol. We were doing a lot of lobbying, meeting with politicians, trying to get laws passed around, addictions treatment and trying to get funding and stuff like that. And I had no interest in working in addictions. I had no interest whatsoever. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Okay.
But that was an administrative internship, so I wasn't actually working technically in that field. So then I graduated. I went out to try to find a job and couldn't find anything.
That'll do it.
And so I was going to give it another 6 months, and then I was going to start applying to law school. And thankfully found something. I ended up calling my old supervisor and was like, "Do you have anything available?" He's like, "Yeah, I got a tech position open in the recovery house." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do that."
And that's how you started in addictions.
Been in it since and love it.
Wow.
Yep.
And so that's and you actually did like it once you got into it.
Absolutely.
Working with the people.
I don't want to do anything else.
That's awesome. I had a very different route. At 16 years old in high school, I thought maybe I would like to be a psychologist. Maybe I wanted to do that. But I didn't know, there's no little brochure that tells you, hey, so you want to be a therapist, here's how you do it. So I thought, you have to go to get a doctorate and all this other stuff. And I thought, man, that is a lot of work. And so I remember being 16 years old and writing a letter to a psychologist that I looked up in the area and asked if he would be my mentor and if he would teach me how to do this and guide me. And I went to his office and he wasn't there, and I slipped it underneath the door. And this was way before email and things. And I slipped it underneath the door and I waited for him to call me back. He never did. And so it crushed my dream. So I ended up going into a bachelor's of religion. At the time, I was going to be a minister. And so I did a bachelor's degree in religion, and that had a lot to do with psychology. A lot of the training in a religious program is how do you sit with people, how do you visit with people, how do you meet them as a human being, and go through their life. And so there was a lot of counseling coursework, and I thought, man, I really like that. That part's really fun. So then I graduated with that. I became a school teacher and actually taught at a high school for a while, 7.5 years. And one day with my high school students, I had them running through this program online, which does it's like questions, and it asks you about your personality.
Like an aptitude test.
Yes. And so it was like a personality career test.
Okay.
And it tells you kind of what you'd be good at. And one of the students said, hey, have you ever taken this? You should take it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I will just for fun, right? But I'm a teacher. That's my career. So I jump in there, I take the test, and it says, you should be a therapist. I got high marks in that. And I was like, yeah, I wanted to be a therapist, but, that guy never wrote me back, and now I have a degree in something else, and I'm not going to go get a doctorate. But in the little computer program, it said, well, click here to learn how. And I clicked it, and it said, you can go get a master's degree, and you could be a therapist in 2 or 3 years. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. So right that day, I called a therapist in the community, and I asked if he would have coffee with me. His name is Chris Caldwell. I love you, Chris. He's still out here in Las Vegas. He owns LifeSpring Counseling. I met with Chris, had coffee with him, and just said, can I ask you about your life? Can I ask you about your career? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. And I interviewed him for an hour, and at the end of that hour, I was sold. I was like, I want to be him. Like, he is the coolest guy. I love his life. I love his career. I enrolled in my master's immediately, did that, and the rest is history. And then as soon as I graduated with my master's, I left teaching. I got into behavioral health, decided to focus on addictions and mental health, because it seemed like it was everywhere to me. Like, I looked around, addiction had touched my family. It was touching so many families, and I was like, I definitely want to make sure I can treat it. And now I'm in it full time. So it's that's my story, I guess. So interesting little winding tale.
It's a much better story than mine.
Your story's good.
Well, mine was pretty much like, well, do this or learn how to weld. Because that's
no, Nick, you got to think about storytelling, buddy. Your story was a choice between healing people for a living as a therapist or destroying them as a lawyer, and you made the call. And to all of our law listeners, I apologize for nothing. You know what you do. You know. Yeah, so be a therapist, guys. If you're out there, that's a great question.
Yeah, thanks for writing in. That was a great question.
Really good question.
Yeah, if there's anything that my co-host loves to talk about, it's himself.
I love it.
Thank you for opening up the dialogue.
Diagnose me, Nick. Let's play a game. It's very easy. Narcissistic personality disorder. Ding, ding. You win. That's all the time we've got for this week's session. Thank you to those who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Help us reach others by sharing this episode. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/podtherapy or on Twitter @podtherapyguys.
Do you want to add your own advice to today's questions? Post your thoughts at podtherapy.net and join the conversation. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I am the great Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for appointment next week. Happy birthday, Ben.